Open any brokerage listing site right now. Filter for a 22 to 26 foot boat, model year 2022. Sort by days on market. Scroll until the number stops being funny. Those are not neglected boats. Most are 3 years old, and most are still being paid for every month. First receipt. The National Marine Manufacturers Association, which I will say as NMMA, reported new boat retail unit sales fell 8.8% to 215,237 units. That is the buyer side drying up, while the used side keeps filling. Second receipt. NMMA data shows stern drive boats down 20.1% year to date through June of 2025. A whole propulsion category losing its buyers in real time. Third receipt. And this one is the load-bearing wall. Boats Group reported the global average boat price in 2022 ran 29.5% higher than in 2019. Brunswick told its own investors that loan rates had roughly doubled since early 2020 to around 9%, and that the monthly payment on a 20-foot boat, motor and trailer package went from around $400 to about $700. Peak price, financed at a doubled rate. Thousands of people are still carrying 2022 money on a 2026 boat. 6 forces break a boat owner in year 3. By the end of this video, you will know all 6. You will have the full year-by-year receipt on one real named boat. And you will know the exact number that decides whether ownership ever works for you. Keep one thing in the back of your mind. There is a single line on the purchase paperwork that does more damage than the price of the boat. It is not the price. It is not even the interest rate. I name it at force number 6, and it changes how you read every number before it. Before force number 1, be honest about your own dock. The people destroyed in year 3 are not reckless. They are people who never saw the whole stack written down before they signed. $30,000 underwater is not a problem you fix later. It is one you avoid at the desk, with the pen in your hand. That is what the bilge files is for. All 6 guides, $47, one time, at hullhonest.com, link below. Nobody pays this channel to point at a brand, which is why that vault can name them. Force number 1. Force number 1. The peak price cohort. A boat is not expensive because of what it costs. It is expensive because of what you owe on it. And one group signed at the worst possible moment in modern boating. Those two numbers, peak price and doubled rate, did not hit separately. They hit the same buyer, on the same afternoon, on the same buyer's order. The market does not care what you paid. It prices the hull, the engine, the hours, and the year. It does not price your enthusiasm in 2022. That gap is the story of year 3, and it gets worse once you see what really happens to the value. Force number 2. The depreciation everyone gets wrong. You have heard it 100 times. A boat loses 20 to 30% the second it leaves the lot. I will be straight with you, because the sharp guys in the comments always are. That number is folklore, and I am going to kill it right now. Boat US, in its own analysis of day boats that hold their value, puts first-year depreciation at 10 to 15%, not 20 to 30. Boat US says the average day boat is down around 20% by year 5 and 30 to 50% by year 10. Trident Funding, a marine lender, gives the same first-year figure, 10 to 15%. So, where does the scarier number come from? Overwhelmingly from vendor blogs and lender content. Sit with that. The people selling the financing are the ones inflating the depreciation story, because a frightening depreciation number makes a long loan term sound like mercy. Depreciation on a good boat is milder than the legend, and owners still go broke anyway. That tells you depreciation was never the murder weapon. It is just the body on the floor. I tear into this industry exactly like this every week, and the list of things they hope you never work out on paper does not get any shorter. Subscribe and come along. Force number 3. The slip you do not own. Here is where somebody else's business model starts eating your boat. Wet slips run roughly $15 to $50 per foot per month by region. Dry stack runs $10 to $40. A 25-foot wet slip typically lands between $300 and $600 a month. A 24-foot center console in a Tampa dry stack runs $385 a month. Now the part nobody at the dealership mentions. Bloomberg reported in June of 2025 that in the Southeast, Slip fees are rising about 15% a year at some marinas. And Bloomberg gave the reason in one sentence I want you to remember, because it detonates at the end of this video. There are 12 boats in the United States for every marina slip. 12 to 1. That is not a market. That is a queue. Capital noticed. Sun Communities sold Safe Harbor Marinas, the largest marina and superyacht servicing business in the country, 138 marinas, to Blackstone Infrastructure for $5.65 billion in cash. That closed in 2025 at roughly 21 times estimated funds from operations. Blackstone's infrastructure vehicle can hold assets in perpetuity. That is not a flip. That is a landlord moving in permanently. Now the honesty beat, and this one costs me the cleanest line in the video. I could not find one documented, journalist-verified slip rate hike at a named Safe Harbor Marina. Forum posts claim 10 to 15% a year. Forum posts are not receipts, and I will not read them as if they were. What is documented sits elsewhere. In Iowa, boaters at Sailorville and Red Rock organized against increases under Suntex, spelled Suntex. Owner Andy Knaus said on average they pay double, and the Army Corps of Engineers opened an investigation. In Fernandina Beach, Florida, after Oasis Marinas took over management, rates were set at $19.25 a foot, in some cases a 25% increase. At Dana Point in California, boaters filed a class action over proposed increases of 26 to 96%. They lost. Your slip is not a bill. It is a lease on a scarce asset, owned by people whose entire job is finding out how much you will pay. Which brings us to the other bill you cannot negotiate. Force number 4, the insurance wall. In Florida, recreational hulls are priced at roughly 1.5 to 3.5% of insured hull value annually, per Atessa Risk Advisors. Hurricane exposure drives premiums up 30 to 60% versus inland or northern water. A $50,000 boat in Miami might run $1,200 to $1,500 a year. That same boat in Minnesota, $700 to $900. Then the deductible. Florida named storm deductibles typically run 2 to 5% of hull value, separate from your ordinary deductible, and they apply anytime a named storm touches Florida water. Run that on a $150,000 boat. 5% is $7,500 out of your pocket before the policy does anything at all. That is not insurance the way you think about your house. That is a co-investment in the storm. Force number 5, the labor rate. You have heard the rule. Budget 10% of purchase price a year for maintenance. Boat Calcs gives the most honest read on it I found. It holds reasonably well for boats between $20,000 and $80,000 kept at a marina, but it excludes the loan payment and it excludes depreciation. Add both back, and Boat Calcs puts real annual cost at closer to 20 to 25% of purchase price for a financed boat. The rule is not wrong. It is incomplete in exactly the direction that flatters the sale, and the shop rate is climbing underneath it. The Bureau of Labor Statistics put the median wage for motorboat mechanics at $27.67 an hour in May of 2025. That is the wage. The bill is not the wage. Repower Industry Sources put certified dealership labor in Florida at $125 to $175 an hour. Why is it climbing? Here is a structural analog, labeled as 1 because no marine-specific study exists. The TechForce Foundation's 2026 report found employers across 10 trade sectors need roughly 241,000 new technicians a year through 2029, against about 101,000 graduates. 42% of demand met. Marine techs come out of that same pipeline. Same shortage, same invoice. Force number 6, the term. This is the line I told you about in the first minute. It is not the price. It is not the rate. It is the number of years. Banks finance marine loans up to 20 years. Loans above $50,000 typically unlock the 15 to 20-year range. Down payments run 10 to 20%. LendingTree put the average boat loan rate at 8.34% in the second quarter of 2026. Here is what a 20-year term actually is. The lender Yachtway's own illustration says a 20-year term costs about $585 less per month than a 10-year term, and about $64,000 more in total interest. That is the trick, stated by the industry itself. The long term does not make the boat cheaper. It makes the payment quiet, while your principal barely moves and the value falls the whole time. The value falls on a curve. The balance falls on a plateau. Those two lines do not meet for years. That brings us to the part you actually came for. The receipt. I picked this boat to argue against myself. A Boston Whaler 220 Dauntless, that is DAUNTLESS, 22-foot outboard center console. Whaler is the brand people name when they tell you a good boat holds its value. If the thesis survives a Whaler, it survives anything on your dock. Current new listings on Boat Trader put it at $167,764 at MarineMax Fort Myers. I will model a negotiated $150,000 because I could not source the real transaction price and I will not invent one. Florida sales tax at 6%, $9,000. Documentation and prep, $1,000. Out the door, $160,000. Finance it the normal way, 15% down, $24,000. That leaves $136,000 financed at 8.34% over 20 years. The payment is $1,166 a month, $13,997 a year. Watch what that payment actually does. Year 1, $11,239 of it is interest. $2,758 is principal. Year 2, $10,999 interest, $2,998 principal. Year 3, $10,742 interest, $3,255 principal. 3 years in, you have paid the bank $41,991. $32,980 of that is interest. You retired $9,011 of debt. You rented that money. You did not buy it down. Now the operating stack. 1 year, Florida coastal. Insurance at 1.5% of hull value, $2,250. Dry stack at that Tampa rate, $4,620. Seasonal service, $600. Maintenance, 100-hour service. Impeller and gear lube, $1,500. Fuel, $2,000. Registration, $150. Safety gear, $500. $11,620 a year before the loan. And here is the check on my own work. BoatCalcs independently puts the annual stack for this class at $11,550. 2 different roads, $70 apart. Loan plus operating, $25,617 a year. Cumulative cash out. End of year 1, $49,617. End of year 2, $75,234. End of year 3, $101,700. Now the other line. Value at end of year 1, $120,000. Year 2, $108,000. Year 3, $97,200. And I will flag that honestly, those are modeled from used listing prices, not verified sold prices, because sold price appraisal data sits behind a paywall. If anything, real sold numbers come in lower. Equity position. End of year 1, $13,242 underwater. Year 2, $22,244 underwater. Year 3, $29,789 underwater. 3 years in, you have handed over roughly $102,000 in cash, $33,000 of it to interest alone. And to walk away, you have to write another check for about $30,000 because you owe more than the boat is worth. Now put that against the hours. Industry sources put recreational use at 75 to 150 hours a year, and owners themselves report far less. Call it 60. That is $427 an hour. $427 an hour to go fishing. Now the pushback, and it is the right one. You are thinking the crossover in that table is year 1, not year 3, so the title is wrong. And you would be completely right about the arithmetic. Negative equity starts in year 1, the moment a 15% down payment meets a 10 to 15% first-year drop. Year 3 is when it becomes undeniable, because that is when the cash out crosses 6 figures and people actually try to sell. That is why PassageMaker reports the average trawler owner keeps his boat only about 3 years, mainly due to lack of use, cost, or justification for the expense. So drop a comment and tell me the real number. What is on your transom, and how many hours did you put on it last season? Not what you meant to. What the meter says. Here is the two-sided verdict. If you are buying, your skepticism is the only protection you have. Do not shop the payment. Shop the term, the down payment, and the slip, in that order, before you fall in love with a hull. 20% down or walk. Shortest term you can actually service. And price the slip and the insurance before you price the boat, because that operating stack was $11,620, and not $1 of it cares how nice the boat is. Then run the honest comparison. A Freedom Boat Club membership runs a one-time entry fee of $3,000 to $11,000. Dues of $199 to $600 a month, and a common first year near $9,500 to $10,500, against a $25,600 ownership stack that is roughly 40% of the cost, with no depreciation and no negative equity. At 60 hours a year, the club wins on math. Ownership wins on availability, on rigging it your way, and on the fact that it is yours. Just pay for that on purpose. And the third path, the one the receipt points to, buy the 3-year-old boat from the man in that table. He absorbed the depreciation, the freight, the prep, and the tax. Pre-owned is already about 80% of unit sales. Let him take the hit. If you are selling, the clock is not your friend. Every month you hold is another month of that stack against a value line that only goes one direction. Get the honest number from the market, not the number you need to clear the loan. The loan is not a valuation. And now that 12 to 1 number pays off. 12 boats for every slip means the scarce thing in boating was never the boat. Boats are built by the 100,000. Slips are not. Neither are qualified technicians, and neither is insurance capacity in a hurricane state. Every one of those 6 forces was somebody selling you access to a bottleneck, priced against how badly you wanted the water. Here is the market law this whole story proves. Boats depreciate slowly, and loans amortize slowly. And you go broke in the gap between the two. You never got trapped because you were bad with money. You got trapped because every number you were shown was the monthly payment, and every number that mattered was on a page nobody handed you. Nobody pays this channel to point at a brand. No sponsors, no dealer deals, no affiliate links, which is the only reason I can read you a table that says do not buy the boat. YouTube thinks you will like this video, so click it. And if you made it all the way to the end, subscribe, because you are clearly the kind of person who reads the paperwork.